start whenever. Hello, everyone. This is my buddy Bubba.
Howdy.
Bubba.
How's it going? My name's Jeremiah. I've known Sam here for a while. Probably about 8 years of my life.
Throughout most of high school, like almost all of high school.
Yeah. Sam's been a pretty good friend. We've stuck by each other's side for a while and get a lot of our views are a lot alike, so it's pretty impressive to be, friends with somebody that has views on leadership roles in politics and how government should lead the state or the country as a whole. So,
well, I agree with what you said there. The government seems to be getting very much more involved with social media. That is one thing I notice very heavily.
Yeah.
You guys, you know very much about that at all?
Yeah. Well, it's just the fact that freedom of speech is being limited because the truth is alive and the truth is out there, and it's getting harder and harder to cover up. So if we are seeing a mass overreach, obviously, in social media, and a mass reach, not only in social media, but in our day-to-day lives in government. Things that involve going into a store, public policies, stuff like that. And you realize that the truth is, it can be very frightening, but at the same time, once we understand it and we learn how to find the tools to combat that evil in the world, then we'll be a lot better off. And so social media is just one of those tools that these people in power use to censor you and to censor me and to censor
every
Sam,
one of us. Anybody that gets like shadow banned on YouTube, anybody that's spending time on Facebook and posting lots of things that are very conservative, that's a lot of the types of things that are getting weeded out. And they're putting in place. I mean, I kind of get where they're coming from when they're saying they're wanting to prevent misinformation with putting out misinformation with COVID-19. Yes, but their argument at this point is null and void. We don't need to we don't need to drag this out any longer than it has been.
And I think a lot of it really comes down to is what is creating the most havoc. And as leaders of the world, as people in society, we need to step back and look at what creates the most havoc. We can understand the safety aspect, obviously, where you want to shield people from knowing certain things, but at the end of the day, what is that going to do? It's only going to stir up, chaos, because most people have a mind of their own, especially in today's world. Most people have been given that gift to have a mind of their own here in America. So when something like that takes place, it stirs up chaos. And so as leaders, what is going to bring equality, or what is going to bring people together, not something that's going to divide us and something that's propaganda, when we know darn good and well what we're supposed to do here on earth. It's plain and simple. So
all we need to do here on earth is, as far as I can tell, is we need to make sure that everybody treats their close vicinity people with respect. Treat them with respect. It's not hard to give the person at your local diner or your local grocery store the respect that they deserve, even if they fucked up.
And that's the problem, is we're never going to understand that.
Yeah, this whole generation is losing its respect for people, and I think it has a huge factor to do with social media, a huge factor to do with the fact that people are capable of insulting someone in some way that they would never, ever have the balls to do behind, closed doors with that person.
Yeah, and the fact is it's just division. It's
so
it's
divisive.
Nobody's business to be butting into somebody else's business.
It's also divisive.
It's divisive. It's only going to cause chaos. And I've learned from myself, personal experience. I'm not perfect by any means, and as a kid growing up and becoming a stronger man as I grow up, I figure out that, you know, it's the individual that's going to save themselves in this world, and it's the individual that has to step back and recognize that they are themselves the ones that are going to make the difference in the world. And once we learn that, each and every one of us, that we are loved and that we have a future, a bright future ahead of us, that we are loved by God and that we are protected by God, I think it's going to change the world, because I feel like a lot of people run from things that they've done, and they don't realize that
sometimes they're not necessarily running from the things that they've done. Sometimes people might run in order to get to their next phase of their life. They rush through this phase so that they can try to get to the next phase. And it happens very often. Like,
and I've done that myself. Like I said, I've rushed, but in my life, you know, I've never felt I felt the spirit of love and the Holy Spirit and things that, you know, a lot of people talk about, but I've never felt the Jesus Christ that many say they feel. And so in my life, you know, and the lessons that I learned was off of anger, and it was because I was following a voice in a right sense of mind, but I was overboard with it, over emotional. And we learn in life when, you know, people on the left and the right, when they have strong views on both sides, that it can draw you into a rabbit hole you don't want to be in.
Yeah, oftentimes it can. It really does. You'll end up diving into something that doesn't even matter.
Yep.
Just some portion of it that you thought had relevance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
It's amazing how many things I can recall that's happened to me on. But as you were saying earlier, with the trying to find something that's a purpose that you can fulfill, you know, like something that your life is, that you think is going to make, you know, you're doing a greater service to someone else than yourself.
Yeah.
That's the main reason I'm getting into
like
life insurance. Like, I feel like that's a life insurance and mortgage protection for when you die. Do you want all of your debt to be responsible and be put up on your family for their responsibility?
Absolutely. That's the thing is those things are investments in life. You got to put yourself in a position where you can make those good investments to take care of yourself. But we also got to recognize that even in our own system, there's issues, and it's not perfect, and it can be fixed. And that way, everybody has an equal opportunity to something. But the only way we can truly do that is off our land resources. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting here today in his podcast room. It's Keystone Shack. It's advertisement. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, you know? And it's a wonderful place.
And this stuff is cool. And the reason why it's here is because it all comes from, you know, our land resources. And I might be, you know, an LDS, you know, believer, or you know, whatever, Mormon, or whatever you want to call it, but I believe in all. You know, the Bible is the root for everything, and once we realize that it's all in our heads, and that, you know, there is...
You want a cigar, Bubs?
Yes. And there is a Jesus Christ that does love you, and that is going to, you know, forgive you for your sins. Once we realize that, we can stop fighting. So, and that's the point. And we can get to business, and we can
once everyone believes in a higher power of some sort. Your conscience is like your main source of higher power, in my opinion. Like, it is one key thing that we all have that a lot of us tend to not use. Your conscience, you know, that little thought in your head, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this, and then you do it anyways, and then you're like, well, later you're wondering, why did I get in trouble for this? That's why.
And that's what I mean. It just comes down to that balance between good and evil. You know, every person knows within themselves good and evil. And you know, if it's not necessarily Christianity, or if it's not, you know, whatever you know, think that most people believe, or it's
whether
the opposite of you.
Yeah, whether you're a Christian, or maybe you have to become a vegan to become a good person, or you become, you know, who cares? You get on a carnivore diet, like, maybe that's what made you into what you think is a better person, and what you feel are doing yourself a greater service. A lot of those people who end up getting on the carnivore diet end up
And
a lot of them may not have ever hunted in their entire life, but they'll take up the sport of hunting so that they can provide meat every year for themselves instead of having to go buy something that's been factory farmed. You know, and that's a great thought. Like, it's something that we all forget. It's a little part of nature that's in all of us anyways.
And what we need to realize is that, you know, we get all of our resources from nature and, you know, the planet and stuff.
Every one of them.
We need to take a step back and, you know, ask ourselves, are we interfering with God's plan as humanity?
Yeah, the universe's plan.
The universe.
Even. Like, it is the plan of the universe.
And that's the thing, is the universe is scientifically proven to be mysterious. And what can happen will happen here. And
yeah, like spooky action at a distance, whatever that crap is that Einstein came up with. It's like, that's like spooky action at a distance, essentially, is where one thing can happen on one side of the earth, and that directly correlated with something else happening in a completely different country on a completely different continent.
I think the universe has an attachment to individuals, or not necessarily individuals, but all. And once that energy or something goes bad, something happens.
Yeah.
And so it's based off our atmosphere, is how I feel it is.
Well, it's kind of like when
and DNA,
when people don't want to admit that they're wrong when they've been proven wrong.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is DNA. I mean, it's proven that you have a written script. And so, if we take a step back and look at that, you know, and analyze that, then I think a lot of people would understand truly who they are as well too.
Oh,
we all have a meaning.
Definitely. We all have meaning. We all have a reason that we're on this planet.
And as positions of, you know, power, government, you know, stuff like that, and people who don't, you know, I would say
they're left in the wind, pretty much.
It's just one of those things that trust in God, because at the end of all this, you're going to understand that there's a bigger picture to this.
Yeah.
And it's about love.
Even if you just trust that every day is going to get better.
Yep.
Or, you know, like, just because things are not going your way right now doesn't mean that it's going to be this way forever.
It's going to change.
You know?
It's going to change. It has to change. It has to. It's written. I mean, it's prophesized.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to change. The world's not over unless some people decide they want it to be over. And the world does rest on a select few.
Oh yeah, no matter what, whether it's the 144,000 that the Bible says, or it's a a large group of people, you know, like fighting for a better cause than what they feel that their life is worth. That's And you know, I mean, it could be the 144,000 that are chosen by God, and their spirits are regulated, and when it is negative energies placed upon those spirits, it could trigger God. And it's one of those things that, you know, people forget to realize, is that, you know, man can't control the earth's crust, and man can't control, the weather. Man can't control what any other animal can't control. They can only.
It's God.
We're like
universe.
Like, if you think about it, in certain areas of the world, we're like pests.
Yeah, almost.
We're you know, we just show up and we ruin that area, completely decimate it, and turn it into whatever the heck we wanted, and it ends up being, you know, like they might call it a sanctuary, or like Yellowstone, for example. That's a cool place to go, and you can get eaten by animals. Yes, it's you're in the wilderness.
Yeah.
But it's a place set up by humans, for humans, regulated by humans.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is like, as a believer in, you know, Christianity, is that, you know, God takes care of people as we go. You know, He takes care of the world, and so we have to deal with the fact that there is a suppressive power in this world, and
it's in whatever form of government you have.
Yeah.
The government, no matter what, if you believe in
be
Christ, if you believe in, like, God, or even, you know, like, you believe that no matter what, this government, like, I should say, if you follow the Bible, or like a lot of, like, Muslim religions, like, it's kind of funny, because technically in, like, Arabia and Iraq and Iran, that area is where that stuff was going down. That's where Christianity began, and you see what the remnants of the original left behind there. Like, really, it's Christianity's evolved in such a way that
it's it started. Really, it started in Israel and Jerusalem.
Yeah,
it was we, as believers of Christ. We believe that the world can come together through love.
Yeah,
and there's no need to bring up nations against each other, and there's no need to plot and rage war against God, because
even wage war against your neighbor due to the fact that he wronged you in some way. Go up and talk to the guy. If he's a dick to you, then just don't ever deal with him again. Exactly. It's not your responsibility to try to right everyone's wrongs.
Exactly, and that's exactly what God's going to show the world.
I'm not saying that if you're at a grocery store and somebody's robbing the place and you have a cell phone and he hasn't caught you, don't use it. I'm just saying that you have to have the thought that even some people who are doing in the wrong situation are, you can't condemn everyone. There's lots of stories out there about people who, like Mark Wahlberg, for example. Mark Wahlberg, when he was young and he was on the Boogie Nights show or whatever, there was something, or the Boogie Nights movie, there was something bad that happened that made him literally go on a all-out search for this black man to beat to death. And he was, in his, he's telling this story as a, who he is now, looking back on it, reflecting, he says, I don't know how my brain was in this thought, but I just did not care. Any black man would have done. I never thought my brain could go there, but it happened. And it was a matter of, we're all tribal. We all have these, whether it's, it goes back thousands of years, whether, arguing over our skin color, arguing over even just where you live. You could be the same blood origin and think that that those neighbors of yours are the enemy.
Yeah.
Just because they're different.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, we're human. We're not color. We're not anything but human, and we all have a soul. And we are superior on the planet. And I think that once we learn to love and use that as an object of superiority, we would solve a lot of problems. So I gotta say, in the 7 times I've read the Bible, I've read 3 different forms of it, and I don't know, growing more into an adult, I've taken more of a scientific route of believing in still following the Bible's rules, because literally the Bible is just it's a schematic for life and how you can make yourself have a happy, successful life. And I don't necessarily know if in the Bible, when they're talking about heaven and hell and Armageddon, maybe Armageddon's something that's just a recurring thing that's happened multiple times, and it's it's going to come again. It just like they say. Yeah,
life is just a cycle, and it repeats itself.
If you do look into the scripture and the Bible, we're already almost there. And the recycle in itself, obviously, is human race, but the recycle in time and furthering our knowledge and furthering our advancement in technology is not. It's perpetual, and so once we understand that perpetual stage will only continue until a certain point.
We've only been in this stage for a couple hundred years, though.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, is that the stage of the couple hundred years is man has developed intelligence enough to grasp man-made weapons from our resources, and to have enough power to destroy the earth and take over and force an ungodly nation. And so that's just one of those things that God will step in place through the universe, and through his powers of controlling the earth's crust and other scary things, and he will show the earth that it's not going to be evil that's going to rule the world. It's going to be love. And
in the end of it, love is going to rule the earth.
And it's going to be Jesus Christ.
I have one of the things that makes it a little bit hard.
I believe, personally.
Yeah, one of the things that makes it a little bit hard for me to follow any Christian religion is the fact that no Christian religion is any, like, they're the oldest Christian religion world, you know, essentially. In the eyes of them, the earth is only between 6,000 and 11,000 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends on the intelligence of a Christian. I mean, obviously, we have science that says that. I mean, to me, what I was taught, it was completely different from that type of thinking. What I was taught personally is that dinosaurs and Earth and stuff, dinosaurs came before us, so that way we can drill into the ground for our fossil fuels. I mean, dinosaurs are how many billions of years old? You know, and that's just right,
hundreds of millions years old.
Yeah, hundreds of millions of years old. So I mean, the fact that some think that, you know, the Earth's been a thing for only 4,000 years or so on and so forth is obviously fiction. But the fact is can we prove that humans in general have been here for 4,000 or 6,000 years? I mean, that can be a debate right there in itself, because how could it be from evolution, from a monkey to form to a human so fast? You know, or how could the pyramids be built how they were? You know,
but monkeys wouldn't have evolved into us so quickly. I mean, monkeys and then chimps, and then technically how it is there's it's chimpanzees bonobos, chimpanzees, and then orangutans are like supposed to be right below all those things that you see in like what they say would be Bigfoot or whatever.
As science tells us, though, is that
Neanderthals.
As science tells us, though, is that chimpanzees are chimpanzees, gorillas are gorillas, wolves are wolves, coyotes are coyotes, deer are deer, and elk are elk. And so once we learn that, you know, there might, you know, some people were to put that open heart or that thought that there is maybe a higher power in control of this universe, in control of the electronic magnetic waves that flow through this universe that control our actions through our DNA. And that's the thing, is we as people have the opportunity in our own minds and our own hearts to choose that right and wrong, and to choose that, you know, to believe in that higher power. If it's God, it's God. But if it's a higher power, it's a higher power. You could be chosen in some way, I imagine, in my belief, if you don't believe in a true Christianity book or something like that. Because if you're so spiritually into the universe, you know, how could God deny that? How could God deny somebody who believes so much into the universe and how it works and how it operates? Yeah. Because that is God. That's God's handwriting. And to him, he cherishes that. That is beautiful to him, to see his children, to know those special things, you know. But it is to know that there is a creator of those things. And once we understand that, and there is a meaning, and since we know that love is the meaning, what brings us love? And that is true Christianity, is what brings us love. And obviously I believe that, you know, people have this skeptical thing about how the Flavian signature, or this conspiracy to invent Christ, Caesar's conspiracy or whatever. But I mean, even if they believe that way or not, you got to look at it this way. If Christianity was created and the prophecies are being fulfilled, who's really in control of the universe? God. And who's protecting his people? God. And why would he create Christianity under the Flavian signature? Because he wanted to create a sovereign, righteous people before the end times, before the second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
And so that's what I believe.
I'm not saying that I'm a proponent of this, but one could argue that the fact that the oldest Christians are like 11,000 years old would put them back about 2,000 years in current geologists, current archaeologists, current historians. They would argue that right now, currently, they found, well, it wasn't like right now, within the last decade, they found this place called Göbekli Tepe. And through their work, they found out that place is 14,000 years old. It's like, so that would date humans even 3,000 years further back than the earliest Christians believe our current human race to be.
And that's the thing, is like, in all reality, is you got to question everything in this world. You got to question research, and you got to question You know, if humans existed, 14,000 years back, and Christianity says that humans have only existed for 4,000 or this certain amount of time,
Well, yeah, in the grand expanse, we have no idea.
Mm-hmm. And exactly, we have no idea.
Every single person here alive today, we don't, not a single person knows.
Mm-hmm.
Definitively.
And that's another thing is, a lot of people, I mean, I hate to say it, but Christianity a lot of times has been mixed up. I mean, a lot of it has been
Catholicism, for example.
It's been locked up from the actual truth.
Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses, they're very odd cults, but they're nice.
See,
hey, I was raised Jehovah's Witness, that's why I made that joke. And I love Mormons. They're nice ass people.
No, yeah, and that's the thing is the reason why I've always liked all religions, but the reason why I've always
Buddhists
been,
are
I've
nice too,
been,
except for until a lot of them like to hit people, from what I've experienced.
I've always been into the LDS because to me they've had that strict proper role of right and wrong in government, and that is true, they do. But
the Latter-day Saints, they're actually a split off from 400 years ago when there was a large group of Christians that split off into multiple directions, which was Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, Latter-day Saints, and current forms of new Christianity.
The thing about Joseph Smith, though, I mean, it is a true story. I mean, what he's seen, obviously, we weren't there. It's the test of our faith.
I know I said 400 years when it was like 100 years ago. 120, 130, something in that area.
The thing is Joseph Smith, I mean, I wasn't there. I didn't see what Joseph Smith saw, but that's the test I see in the church, obviously, is the faith in Joseph Smith and what he saw to restore the true church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints. And so once I stepped into that ground, I seen that, this church is really well organized. They take care of their people. They worship Christ, which is number one. And they had a perception of the Bible and God that a lot of people didn't know about, and that was that they believed personally that God doesn't stop talking to his children. So that was that belief in Joseph Smith restoring that church, is that God spoke to him, or Jesus Christ, and it's like, hey, like, bring this true church of Jesus Christ, which is, I mean, could Joseph be wrong? I mean, obviously everything that's going on is prophesized, right? So if Joseph's seen God to restore this church, it could just be that one part of God's plan, because it's not just one thing, it's several things. And that's what people don't understand, is that's what this world is a test, is to love people regardless on what they choose. And God's going to put certain things in this world through Satan or through anything, and you're going to have to love that, or you're going to have to hate it, or you're going to have to learn your lesson from it, like I have myself. And so that's the thing, is God's always going to put those things in the world, the separate
consistently
things
testing you
test
anyways,
which
whether it's God or just life testing you, it's you're experiencing the stupid thing that we call life. It's a wonderful joke that they say that America is free, and America is a free nation, and I will say that it's in ways sovereign. But there's a lot of countries out there that have way more freedoms than we have, but they also have more restrictions in other areas. It's the only difference. It amazes me that we can be so pompous to say that we're the greatest nation in the world when we're really not, in education, in feeding our people healthy and good food, so that we're not fat ass, dumb ass people.
We're creating our children and our coming societies to be reliant. So whenever somebody wants
other
to turn,
people,
and whenever somebody wants to turn the switch off, guess what? They're going without.
Why do you think that we're not like me at the store? We don't get lots of stuff. Because lots of our shit comes from China and Taiwan. Sorry to say Taiwan. I apologize, because that's not even something that you're allowed to say anymore. Huh? Really? You're not allowed to say Taiwan because it was bought out by China. It's now a subset of China. But Taiwan is still a fucking place. It doesn't matter. You own it. Yes, if China bought America, America'd still be America. It just would be owned by the Chinese province. Just saying. Sorry to get so off topic on that one.
Good.
But yes. I feel that that's a stupid fucking ask of people to be mad, and yeah, over that. That's fucking garbage.
Yep. And that's the thing is, like, you know, it's being forgiving.
Something else I wanted to talk about is
being forgiving.
making, like, I wanna make a point to say, like, I want to know what Ammon Bundy's reasoning is for backing BLM back in the day, when he said that he believed in in what they stand for, but not what the actual outline of the group is.
It's
because he's being painted as like this hated person, terrible, bad, you know, in certain, you know, by liberals.
Yeah. It's not that Ammon was siding with people who were rioting or people who were trying to defund the police in that time. It was literally Ammon showing the world that, hey, look at this problem real quick. Just take a look. It's not about white and black. It's about authority. And it was about, you know, as a leader, as people who are supposed to protect and serve, or, you know, people in power that control those people who are supposed to protect and serve. It wasn't that he was uprooting BLM. It was simply he was constitutionally, police departments, you know, aren't supposed to necessarily be here. You know, sorry to put it down on the thing, but the sheriff's department is who's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's a simple protest.
Yeah.
And another thing we don't think about is that a lot of those BLM protests, there could be, what do they call them, agent provocateurs there, instead of letting them have their peaceful protest, inciting some sort of, like, even just one person breaking into a building. Oh yeah, there's a couple other dirtbags there, like, oh, that guy did it, I'm gonna do it too.
And that's the thing, is if a cop's gonna, if an institution is going to act outside of its constitutional role, then of course defund them. There has to be accountability in society.
Bubs, you asked for that cigar a little while ago when I was off.
I know.
You never lit it.
I know, but that's what I was saying.
That's okay. Remember, like this, we're chillaxing here. We're relaxing, and it's okay to forget and be goofy about shit.
I get too heated up.
Yeah, you're kind of serious.
I know. Sorry, guys.
Intense.
Don't mean to hurt you.
It's okay. We'll talk about it a little bit, and then, like, no matter what, it'll be okay. I'm gonna go pee. Take a pee break, and
so I'm smoking a cigar. I don't care.
Bubba can just sit here and visit with you guys for a minute.
Yeah. No, in all reality, it's not even. It's all one big joke. It's all one big joke. Restore it back to its constitutional role, won't have any problems. Police is supposed to be out here to protect and serve. And that's the fact. So. You guys are going to know the truth soon. It's going to be fun. So, I have a good feeling, and I have a good feeling that things are going to change, and that, you know, people are going to get rid of certain things we need to get rid of. But it's all on you guys. It's all on you guys. Every single one of you.
Okay. Want a beer, Bub?
No, I'm good.
Alright. You want a bottle of water?
I'm good, buddy. No, yeah, it's just, it's not that I was getting heated up, it's just,
No, you were real intense. I wasn't saying that you were necessarily heated up. You said you were heated up.
oh, I was. But, I don't know.
It's okay to get heated up about things. Things are good in life. And
Ammon's not the guy that everybody's making him out to be. I know it.
I personally feel that Ammon Bundy is probably a very nice guy. You know, I feel that he has a lot to bring to the table as possibly being a good governor. Did you see that shit?
Absolutely.
You see that shit that our current governor put out about he went and had a conference, or they had a conference or whatever, and he had a talk at the podium.
Mm-hmm.
And he was explaining that he just explained nicely to people that are moving here, and he's like, mostly Californians, to be, you know, like, don't bring, like, he nicely put it out on a plate for people to not bring your ideals from California or from wherever you're coming from to here.
Yeah.
Because we have a good place here. We do.
Yep.
Idaho is a wonderful state, and
We're
you
lucky
guys see what happened to California. Any of the states that you're fleeing them because it's terrible where you are. You didn't like the laws and the mandates that were put in place. It's okay. Idaho was good. We had we had the mask mandate for quite some time. We're over a year and a half into this thing, and we're good. We're not back to normal, but getting close.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, Idaho represents freedom, and we want to keep it that way.
Yes.
And Ammon's platform is perfect.
I'm sure he has a decent plan.
I mean, if somebody has the mind and the audacity to want to bring back gold as backing our
money.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, if the federal government falls off the map, we're gonna need some type of state funding through the REE, and too bad that's been sold to China, and now 90% of our resources come from China and Japan. And so,
China, Japan, Taiwan, fucking Mexico,
and it's
Argentina.
It's smart for you, even the government's kids and their grandkids that live in the United States. It's smart to abandon this whole thing. It's been hijacked, obviously.
Oh yeah, the fact that
this plan has been hijacked.
The fact that America and Switzerland are the only two. I think it's Switzerland. I'm sorry if I misspoke. New Zealand, I think. Either Switzerland or New Zealand. I don't remember. Us and them are the only two countries in the entire world where it's capable of being, capable of advertising drugs on TV. You know, we're the only two countries that do that. I think it's New Zealand. But it's like, that's odd. Why do we advertise drugs? Doctors are supposed to tell you what you're supposed to need, not some advertisement on...
Why cover it up? Why? Why not return it all back to its constitutional role? It's just, if people... And this is where I get caught up with a lot of people who are Republican and, strong conservatives. That'd be ashamed of me smoking this cigar. The fact is they have this vision of fraud that only goes so far in the real world. And that vision of fraud is Satan's system. And Satan's system...
Even if you just want to call Satan's system the swamp, like that's what it is.
Yeah, we'll call it the swamp.
Or Wall Street.
I don't want to be too harsh. I don't want to be too harsh, I guess. But I'll put it this way: if we learn to stop now and replace and to restore, we're going to be a whole lot better off for all of our children. Because this is what it's coming down to: is when we all start feeding off each other's energy and everything starts getting negative, well, I got a feeling the universe ain't going to be too happy.
No.
So I would say it would be smart to deregulate for the cause of freedom and the cause of being able to be your own person and choose who you truly want to be. If it's to believe in Christ, it's to believe in Christ. I would hope so, but if it's not, then it's not. There's nothing that we should be able to do force you to do something. But in my honesty and my own belief, government should be governed by godly people, by godly leaders, people who are going to teach how to be God-fearing, and people who are going to base their laws off of natural laws and God. Because Samuel Barron should be rolling out of his grave by now on natural laws.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing, is positive law can only go to a certain extent. And then people are starting to get uncomfortable, and it's going to start causing this riot and this chaos. And
oh yeah, definitely.
You have to start to deregulate. You have to start to return back to the Constitution. Yes, it is a debt contract, but there's things that we can do to solve that problem. And the Federal Reserve only goes so far. But if there isn't a factor,
there ain't shit in the Federal Reserve
Yeah, I
right
know,
now.
but
there ain't nothing in there. Like,
the
printed
thing
out
is-
fake paper money. That's all that's in
The thing
there.
is if we're getting blocked out from being able to go to work and get resources to back our money, our fiat currency, why are they blocking us out? Because they're trying to push us into a digital age that's going to destroy your privacy, your Fourth Amendment.
Yeah.
They can control your money, where it goes.
Well, right now it's an attack on our privacy. It's an attack on our rights as human beings that are, not only God-given but sovereign to our Constitution of our United States. Like, you're trying to not only infringe on my rights as a God-fearing man, but you're infringing on my rights as a person in the world. And most people see these rights just get taken away, stripped away, and most people don't care. They don't take action. They don't, most of the people that do end up taking action are probably schizophrenic people that show up at some protest and do stupid shit.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is, a lot of people, they get caught up in one side, and that's when they need to get back to the middle.
Yeah.
And personally, from my experience, I went...
That's why I'm a centrist, essentially. That's why I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Libertarian, I'm not socialist, I'm not any of those. I like certain little picked pieces out of all of them, but, like, as far as I'm concerned, the far right is in a terrible spot right now, and the far left is in a terrible spot right now. Liberals are in just, like, dismay at the fact that like what some of the things our president has to say. They're in dismay, but a lot of them don't say anything because it's it's okay. We all know that he's impaired.
Mm-hmm. And once we understand that, a lot of things are controlled unlawfully and closing on us.
But is it any different now than it was back in the days of when the Roman Empire? The Roman Empire was a grand fucking thing. Yeah. Not saying that I'm not comparing America to Rome, but like currently we're in a way of there's all the things that are going on politically, all the things that are going on social media, all the things that are dividing us right now are the same types of things that were dividing people in the Roman Empire that made them fall. It's really what it is.
And that's the thing is, our schools have lost that meaning of teaching history to show us.
Well, no, because schools are now to make money. They're not for your children to learn. They're to make money and generate state taxes and stuff like that.
And that's the thing too is, schools they're not focused on true history. And if we focus on true history, it's going to teach our children that we don't want to repeat history. And that is the collapse of the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on, is we're teaching propaganda, stirring our children.
Well, and our prison system's fucked. We literally have a system that works on, okay, well, right now there's people still in prison for, getting caught with pot, but pot's legal in this state now, and they might not have been let out. It's like, really, I'm kept in here for because I have a life sentence.
Yeah.
That's what I get my life sentence, and you have to sit there and watch as other people are out there now legally selling it.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is, it's funny to know that constitutionally we would have a right to trade without having regulations like we have today and laws created around that in order to stop us from having access to land resources, like I said. In my belief, pot, obviously hard drugs and stuff like that, it's not thought highly of, and I don't personally believe in doing those myself. And
I personally think they should all be legal.
Yeah, I mean,
because if everything's legal, you can regulate it, man. If it's legal, you can regulate it. If it's, like this beer right here, if you could go to I'm not saying that I would do it. I'm just saying that if people were capable of I can go down to and get a prescription for this cocaine because I have anxiety.
Exactly.
and you could get it, and you know how many milligrams of it to take, you know how much of it you need, and you know how long until you can get another prescription of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like that. Something like that. And I'm not even saying a prescription, because that's somebody being in control of it, whether it's a pharmacist or whatever. It's
and how I feel about it too is, you know, all drugs being legal does not necessarily mean a bad thing. Like you said.
No, I just feel that people should be able to consume whatever they want to.
Whatever they want.
We can, you know, we have bleach in our fucking house, and I can go. I'm not dumb enough to. But I could go in there and I could kill myself with that just as easily as overdosing on some drugs that somebody laced with fentanyl.
Yeah.
You could just as easily die.
Yeah. But, and that's the thing is, it's just simple. It's integrity, and it's based off of right and wrong. And the conscious, and giving people the opportunity to choose right and wrong. And if they want to be a drug addict, then they will be taught that they don't want to be a drug addict by, you know, the people who regulate those drugs when they're legalized.
Have some sort of safekeeper or somebody who's like a psychiatrist or a therapist even to help them through or teach them to get through using this. To, you know, there's like things like Ibogaine, for example. Ibogaine's one thing. Have you ever heard of Ibogaine? It's a drug that people have to go to Mexico to use so that they can get off of like hard drugs like meth and cocaine, heroin, even alcohol abusers. If you have enough money, go to Mexico to get the treatment for Ibogaine. You can go down there, use it. People use it to quit smoking. Even like just something as simple as Ibogaine. It's a psychedelic, of course, but it's almost I think it's supposed to be similar to like peyote, but it literally goes into your brain, rewires it when you come out. All you know is that you don't want to do that. You don't want to do this. You don't want to whatever was your something that ailed you. You know, something that was holding you down. You immediately lose track of all of that. You want to get your life in order.
Yeah, and another thing too about it is you know, and I hate to be so honest and blunt on this, is making these drugs illegal is what's making this government bigger. And that's how they're making.
A lot of them are funded on illegal drugs.
Yeah, and that's the problem is if you want bigger government based off of
fraudulent fucking bullshit.
Then it's just going to turn out hell, because how can you govern both sides like that? Honestly, you can only govern one side, and that's freedom.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, it's proven history.
All you have to govern, all that really needs governed over is like all of our state tax money, where it goes. That's like those people don't care about where our money is taken from and put into.
We need to be investing in the research to help people who are on the sides of the roads in LA. If I was told if they could give us a survey of 5 or 6 or 7 different items that we wanted our tax money to go towards, I would love that. You know, like, don't get me wrong, it's like, okay, this is a required thing, you have to pick 5 things. Yeah. Like, we already pay about, 5 or 6 or shit tons of fucking stuff that goes into like what, those 5 or 6 items that are put on our tax. Put on, on our tax stub at the end of the year. It's like, that's insane that we don't actually know where a lot of that money goes. And it just seems to me that government also has built up, police state power from, the war on drugs.
And that's another thing. The war on drugs is fucking, like, that's the biggest fucking disgrace to police, the biggest disgrace to all of everything that has come of it.
The meaning of protect and serve away.
Yeah, it takes it out, because the war on drugs is more important than the fact that a person is innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
That's like,
or he's guilty until proven innocent.
That's how the world works now. Is that we're guilty until we can prove ourselves innocent. Yep. And most people don't have the chance to prove themselves innocent. Even in a racial matter.
We are in a time where it's desperately in need, where we need to restore it.
Our
Constitution. It is definitely need to be
restore the Constitution. Restore, not just whatever the teacher is teaching,
it's going to be the best way to transition to keep our stuff.
Yeah, peaceful. We want teachers to be happy. We want people that are in some way, in any way, relating to our kids to be in a good mood and be paid and taken care of well.
Yeah.
You know, anybody that's in the medical field, they need to be
There's
taken
ways,
care of
and
well.
there's ways to do that without all this power being struck on our state, or struck on the states around us. There's ways to do it. And
Yeah.
and those ways need to be tried out in order to see if it brings that actual pleasure to everybody that we all seek. And that's the thing, is we all seek that equality. We all preach about equality, but we need to start acting like we are for equality.
Are equal.
Or equal. Yeah.
Like, literally, you... I
gotta
mean,
start acting like
the number one saying that's always kept me in line is that classic one of don't judge a book by its character. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say that I don't judge people who stink like shit when they walk through a grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
I do judge them a little bit. You know, like, you should probably go bathe. That's my only thought on that. I'm not going to say that I'm going to berate you or even say it to your face. But if you stink like shit and you're walking through the grocery store, I'm going to judge you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to pass judgment onto somebody strictly because of something that is an attribute of them. You know, unless, like, okay, I might judge somebody on, like, oh, well, he's clearly a little bit of a materialistic narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's very clear to point out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's insane to me that people don't think about other people that way. They don't look at them as like, oh, well, they look at somebody else and they judge that person on their character right now in this moment.
Always.
They don't judge them on, they don't sit there and think, oh, I wonder what this person could have experienced in their lifetime to make them like this.
Exactly.
You know.
And that's the thing is when people...
You don't... It's one thought to sit back.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Exactly, dude. That's truth. Exactly truth. Because personally, I'm not out to judge anybody.
No.
I'm not. I'm not out to say you can't do this and that, and there's this penalty you have to pay, and there's this chain that's going to be around this leg. That's not who I am, and I think it's very ungodly to approach stuff like that and to try to justify those things, because what is that going to bring to the world? What is that going to bring to you? Pleasure? Yeah. Is judging somebody going to bring you pleasure? Is holding them down unlawfully and attacking people who are innocent? Does that bring pleasure, or does that bring a negative energy of not loving people and how we should be doing here on planet Earth?
Oh yeah.
And it goes down into government. Government, it's instead of looking at human beings as little sheep and little pests on the earth, how about we embrace that? How about we embrace ourselves and
look at them as that thought of walk a mile in their, if you could walk a mile in their shoes, like literally think on it like, maybe if I walked a mile in their shoes, that's why they, came out this way. Embrace
the human race while we have it, because our plan here,
we may not have it for much longer.
Yeah. and if we can do right by it before something happens, I'd rather do right than do wrong. It's flat out for all of you and
for every person on the world. I wish nothing but peace. That's why I want to start up a non-profit for
peace
for homeless people. That I feel like that'd be a wonderful thing.
Exactly.
If people would like my stuff, then yes, I would love to be able to help with that. If you want the
poor to work, you got to keep them satisfied. Society has created this enslavement type atmosphere that it's not,
with clickbait and all sorts of other pornography, and don't get me wrong, I like to watch porn every now and again, but still, obviously. Like, pornography is one of those things that, like, you sit there and, like, there's no doubt that there's hundreds of millions of people using porn in America every day. It's one of those stupid things that we know, a lot of people know that it's like something you probably shouldn't look at. But you know what? I still enjoy looking at a little bit of porn every now and again. Don't get me wrong. And I have a woman and everything.
I mean, the thing about it is, though, is, we do live in a capitalist nation, and it's capitalist to a certain extent. And
I actually believe in capitalism. I think
it's the best way. Honestly.
Yeah, capitalism is a very good thing. It's very prosperous for all of it. If you're a capitalist, you believe in people. You believe in employees that are represented by someone who takes care of their workers.
Yeah.
Like really, if you're a legitimate capitalist, anyways, you could have something. You could own something and have your own monopoly of sorts, but you could not be a capitalist.
Yeah, and
in the way of not understanding where to put your money at the right time, you know.
And that's the thing is, you know.
And you don't embrace the thought process of, okay, well, a good employee needs to be rewarded, you know, like your employees, and also rewarding people just for showing up to the job nowadays is a fucking thing that a lot of employers do because of the fact that, you know, the world we live in at the moment.
And
lumber prices through the fucking roof, gas prices starting to shoot up,
we gotta,
fires all around us.
Yeah, we gotta definitely adopt and deregulate.
Oh yeah.
But that's the thing is, you know, myself, I bounce around a lot. I travel around a lot, and mainly because I have a relationship with somebody, in my opinion, our Lord and our Father, and I'm out here finding my calling and finding what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think the most important thing right now, if I could say to the world, is that love is in less government and less, you know, chaos is going to be what's going to save this world. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the key to all of it. Happiness. If your neighbor's happy, you're happy. If you know, if we can all just be happy and realize what's that? There's a term for it. When you look at your neighbor and you have some sort of a thought on them as sympathy. You know, you have sympathy for your neighbor due to the fact of not even knowing what's going on in their life. Like if somebody's frustrated with you, you know, somebody walked up to you and is pissed off and says, "Fuck you, Bubba," you know, is that a reflection of you, or is that a reflection of something that's going on in their life at that moment?
Something that's going on in their life.
More than likely. And that's something so many people don't think about. Is you could go tell anyone. I could tell my grandma to fuck off right now, but she came by today. I did not do that. Of course, she was really nice to me.
And that's the thing is,
but
you know, people they have a mind, you know, and people's minds are wired in different directions. So if somebody's mind is going in a direction and there's things coming around it and static coming around it, and
which we all have, static, in our lives,
people tend to pop off. But that's the thing about Christ, and that's the thing about God, is learning to forgive, you know, for something that they truly didn't really have control over in some sort of way. In a way they did, but in a way they didn't. But what is righteous and what is not. And I think once we figure that out, it will change a lot of things. And so this world has come to a spot and a point where, you know, people have to sacrifice certain things.
There's a huge crossroads, and you think about it. There's like 20 different fucking roads to take.
And people got to sacrifice, you know, and especially people who want to make a difference, and people who are trying to be a good person. Every day they wake up and they want to go to work and make their, you know, coworkers' day.
Make their coworkers' day. Make their living. Whether you're going to, you might show up to work and you hate your job, and you walk in there and your reflection of you hating your job reflects on your coworkers, and it reflects on any customers if you're in a line of work like that, and it reflects on any person you have an interaction with throughout the day. And that's a heavy thing that a lot of us don't fucking pay attention to.
And it's not that, you know, it's not that people, you know, have demons inside of them, or they have evil inside. It's just a simple fact that humans can be humans.
And I think they get zoned in, man.
Yeah.
They just get so tuned in to the way that, you know, like, okay, wake up, coffee, start my truck, let it warm up, go to work, make it to work,
We're
work
so
your shift,
obedient.
go to lunch.
We're obedient.
You know, we're obedient people. We're obedient creatures, no matter what.
Besides myself, obviously.
In my opinion, I think we and I've heard this many times before, but we are so closely like in a geographical way, we're so close in a way that of networking, like ants. Because ants, like if you put them in a city, I think they did this study where they put them in a fake city made of sand, and they had a street, like it was literally, the fake city was like, I think it was like Brooklyn or something, and they literally had it, they came up with a better system of traveling than the people that actually are in place in that town. That's insane, man. They came up with a better way of traveling the city than the
and another
people
thing
did.
is hard. It's hard for a lot of people to understand as well, is that the people that control the world and that control our roads and our funding and stuff, they design these things, and so if it wasn't for them before us, we wouldn't have these things. But if we want to keep these things, what is the mindset we got to develop? What is the mindset that it's going to take to get these jobs done from leadership positions? And it's going to just take bravery,
and craziness.
Somebody,
the only people that go into politics and go into you know, if you ever think that you could, like where you're sitting right now, I think I could be the president of the United States, you're a crazy person. You are, no matter what. Even if you could make it there, you're still a crazy person. You have to be slightly crazy to be like, I'm going to be the governor of the governor of whatever state of the United States. Like, that's an insane thought to have anyways.
But if you manifest it and you truly have the desire to do it, it will happen.
That and study really hard.
Study really hard. Yeah, don't study too hard, but study enough.
If you're going to be a journalist, you have to study people and current events and all sorts of shit like that.
Absolutely.
If you're going to be a fucking artist, you have to study art and study how to fucking, like, oh, well, I don't know how to paint watercolors. Get on YouTube, figure it out. Eventually you'll learn.
Yeah.
Like, even that's kind of,
access to a lot of stuff.
A way of teaching. I seen the other day there was a professor at fucking Princeton that is a hip-hop professor there that never went to college. Literally everything he learned by going into different spin classes and between yoga, spin classes, and hip-hop dance, taking a hip-hop dance class for like 3 years. Like, that's all he had. And he was a black man that grew up in a single mother home, and he ended up being a professor at fucking Princeton and part-time at Georgia State or something like that. It was like, really? Like, that's somebody who looked at something and he did what he enjoyed until it made him money. That's what you have to figure out, is find something you like, find something you enjoy, and do it.
Yep.
It's a simple way to look at life.
Exactly. And even myself,
and create success.
21 years old, and I got a mind and a lot of knowledge, but it's where I'm going to put my knowledge and where I'm going to put my mind.
Yeah, and you've moved around a lot to all these different places and all these different lines of work.
And that's the thing, is
and
like
figuring out different things to
when
consume your time.
When God tells me to test my ability and test my talent and to show my talent and to show my abilities, I'm going to do it. And like in my last year and a half, I've bounced around a lot. You can almost call me like the dirty jobs guy, and it was plain and simple. It was obviously
an entrepreneur of sorts.
It was obviously, I went on this mission to win something. I wanted to win my daughter and and be a father and stuff, and spend a lot of time with her and work a normal job. But things were going through me that the average person probably doesn't have go through them, and things were amping up in a custody battle, and I jumped job to job and job, and it wasn't like I was trying to settle for something. It wasn't like I was trying to take over something and get good at. It was that I was trying to get
I figure you were trying to figure yourself out. It was
more of finding myself out, yeah, but it was also more of figuring out my talents and figuring out my skills and showcasing that as I go. And so that's what I did. If I know I can be good at one thing and I can be the best at it, and then the most money I'll ever make in my life is $25 an hour sitting in an excavator, then I'm going to jump to something else, and I don't care what anybody says, because I have the freedom and the power of God by my side to do that. So that's what I do. And I've gained all this development and this knowledge, and it's helped me out, develop me who I am today. And
well, yeah,
it's prepped me almost for, you know, as a manager position. Someday I will start my own business, and I will start my own thing, and I will try to make it the best business there ever is. The best, you know, that's my goal. Is I want people who are workers. I want people.
That's funny. You're doing what I'm doing too.
And I just got to find it. It just
you're talking about what I'm looking forward to. Like currently, I'm going into that insurance thing, and like the main game behind it
and that's
is so that I have, like, within the next year or so, I'll find the point of where I make my own business.
Yeah.
I'll have my own insurance agents in my own office.
And insurance, and as a constitutionalist, as a lot of people who know.
Yeah, insurance is important.
Insurance is important, but should it be a penalty if someone does not have a car insurance? Or,
oh yeah,
it should be.
I hate the thought of mandatory insurance,
because you're always going to need insurance. It's an investment. It's a smart way of taking care of your stuff if you got a lot of money and you're somebody with wealth. And I very, very think it's a need in society. But combining judicial laws of the United States government with institutions that are inflicted with the liberty to and the right to travel.
Yeah, or places being mandated to some sort of new law.
Yeah.
Put in effect.
It's not that
the people who put this law in effect have no idea what the effect they are having on the people that they put this law on.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is,
like if a new prohibition to alcohol came out, we would have a fit. We'd have a panic on our hands amongst the entire nation because alcohol is so important that throughout the entire pandemic, we not only made liquor stores an essential business, but we also made AA meetings something you couldn't attend because of the fact that you couldn't have a gathering more than 10 people. That's insane and stupid to me. Okay, well, a fucking pot store is an essential business, but church is not. It's not a place you can go and have a group of people at, even if they all have masks on. Even when they put it back in place that people could come to gather, it's like every single one of those preachers that had their normal service where the cops showed up and they escorted all their people out of there, those preachers should have said, fuck you, leave, and I wouldn't say, I know the preacher wouldn't say fuck you, but
yeah,
still, they should have said, screw off, you're not coming in here and taking away from our religious sovereignty, because nothing outweighs whatever their religious beliefs are. You can't, it doesn't matter what government you are. You can't, whatever entity you are, you cannot go into a church and tell them what to do.
And how to believe.
Yeah, and how to believe. You're not allowed to.
Not allowed to. And that's the thing, too, in society.
That's also the main reason that they don't really teach the Bible in school anymore, because that's something that people, there's people that disagree with that. I have nothing wrong with the Bible being in school. If a kid wants to talk about the Bible in school, that's fine. Don't persecute the kid because he has a devout faith. Or faith, like he believes in a higher power than you do, whatever. It doesn't matter. He could be a Buddhist. Don't make fun of people because of what their thoughts are.
Yeah.
You can't judge them just on their thoughts. If you presented them with a question about something, current events that they know about and maybe understand a little bit, they probably have an answer that would surprise you.
So yeah, I think it's very important that we take a step back and learn how to love.
Yeah, that's a key thing that we all, every single person as a collective, need to get a better grasp on. I believe that wholeheartedly.
And the universe knows when the people aren't loving. So
yeah, for sure.
Well, nice talking to you.
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody.